Howdy! Welcome back to the Rhinestone Roper place. Today we're continuing our discussion of how to get your Wild West show going. And specifically, we're talking about how to get the jobs. We're going to be talking about several aspects of that. One is promoting your show with pictures and video. And we're going to talk about Fair Association trade shows. We're talking about trade show booths, showcases, and promotion materials. But first, take a second and subscribe. And after you subscribe, press that little bell there, that's notifications, and share this video with others. I'd appreciate it. Okay, let's talk about your show. So you got your skills and you've written your show. Now you have to get a gig. You do that by working cheap to start with. You know, you never put down the guy who's charging more. You never compare yourself to them. You just say, this is what I can do, and I'll do it for this much. You sell yourself to the fairs and to conventions or whatever you want to do. You sell it by photographs. You make a video and put it on YouTube and give people the address. My promo video is on YouTube. Here's the address to it. Take a look, or let's take a look. I'll show you right here. Photographs are good though, and there's two parts to the photograph. One is you're part of the photograph and your skill, but your photograph needs to put you in some place that looks important. What does tell the fair buyer you're a great performer in a photograph? Well, a big crowd tells him that you did that. So the pictures I like show a skill, show me doing something, either cutting a target with a bullwhip or have my horse do something fancy. And it's taken kind of from the side or the back so you can see the audience. Now I like this picture here. It's a picture of my horse Lucky Joe. That's a beautiful bow. It's just perfect for what I want him to do, but guess what? The audience isn't that picture. The audience is somewhere else. Here's a great picture of me doing some gun spinning. Here's the location it puts me in is not that important looking. It's just grass. You can't really see anything. But the thing that makes it important is all these people. People in the distance they're watching, people up front they're watching. And the thing I really like about it, you know, you can't even see the skill. You can't see that pistol floating in the air there. On the left side of the picture are people. And there's more people on that side. You know, people just infer what's not there. They infer that audience may stretch for 20 or 20 feet. And on this side, that's the very thickest part of the audience, so they know that picture, the audience extends way back here someplace. So that's a good photograph just because all those people are mesmerized at the show. And that's what I want these fair buyers to know. That's what they want. They want to go walk past a show and they don't want to be able to get close to it. On this picture right here, you got the left side cuts the thickest part of the audience in half. To the right side is standing room only. People are crowded in, and there's the fair board back there in a golf cart. They're like a quarter mile away. I'm exaggerating, of course, but they can't get close enough to see the show. And that's what you want. You want people to imagine, I hired this guy, and look at that, I couldn't even get close enough to see the show. There's too many people. And since the left side of the audience is cut off, then it must be that many people on the other side too. Probably wasn't true because of the sunlight. These people are all in the shade. But no one's going to think that far ahead. So I like this picture because it cuts the audience off. Could be more audience on each side. And that's a great horse trick too, but the main thing is the audience. Here's the same horse trick. There's a big audience over there, but this picture doesn't show them. And the people in the background, they're doing their own business, they're not paying attention. So although that's a nice picture, it shows some humor. Got my wife in the background. The rest of the background doesn't sell the show as important, so I can't use that picture. I also like this picture here. Got my wife and this black and white horse doing a sitting up trick. My wife is in motion and she looks good in her costume. But my trailer's in the back, fencing in the back. You see my electrical hookup stretched back there. It doesn't look important, and you can't tell that anyone's there. I saw an interview of a guy who promoted an Elvis concert. Colonel Parker, Elvis's manager, told him, okay, let's do it. We'll do a concert for you, but you have to guarantee that there are no empty seats. For Elvis and his manager, that was most important, no empty seats. They wanted to sell a lot of seats, but it was more important there were no empty seats. So that guy, his sales came up short. So what he did is he got a jail crew to come in and take out all the seats that weren't sold. So when the pictures are taken, there are no empty seats, it's sold out. But he removed, I don't know, like 1,000, and no one could tell. Your best, we use the best pictures we got. But the pictures you get, if you're back or got a side view, shows this great expression on your face, and it shows people with great expressions on their face. That's what you want. To start with, you don't have that. So how can you get it? Well, you jump into someone else's show. You ask them, can I do 30 seconds of rope tricks in your show? And they might say yes, they might say no, but you tried. If they say yes, then you get someone that stands back behind and gets a picture. Even if it's from your back. You're out there doing a rope trick and all these people are sitting there watching you. If you got a little job and you're performing in an area where another act is performing, that area is better than you, take a picture of that audience. You can, and I'm talking about videos too. Actually that's what I'm talking about. Take a video of that audience. And then when you're on stage, have someone sit behind a bunch of heads. You don't have to have 1,000 heads. All you need is a couple rows of heads. Sit behind those couple rows of heads. You got the back of those people's heads. You're in the middle of the audience and you're on the stage. That's a great shot. Even if you don't dub in that other person's gigantic audience, you take those heads, you're in the middle of the audience. Obviously, people infer that there's people behind you. So that's a good shot also. Twice I've gone to the local college, and I went to an elementary school and to a junior high. All these places had nice looking auditoriums. Oh, and a high school a few miles away. I went to these places and offered them a free show for the school and then a free evening show for the whole community if they would let me go into their auditorium and spend a couple days there filming stuff with the use of their lights. That's a good way to get video of yourself, pictures and video, on a stage under stage lighting. Looks like you're doing a big show. And the evening shows with the community, leaving it up to other people to book it, were not great, but I got to spend good time on those stages, and that was worth a lot, especially the stage at the local college. I rented that for $300. I rented that for a day. I spent the day taking photos and doing tricks on the stage, and then offered a free show that night, let people in, whoever wanted to come in. I let my friends know and advertised it a little bit. And then I had a film crew there that night. So for $300 I rented the auditorium. For another $500, I suppose, I had a film crew there, filmed the whole show. So a lot of my footage in my demo video was a show I put on in a venue that looked kind of important. But what do you do with that video? What do you do with those pictures? All the fairs in your state belong to that state's fair association. Each state belongs to a regional fair association. Up here in the Northwest, it's the Rocky Mountain Fair Association. And all these states here, including California and some of the southwestern states, belong to the Western Fair Association, and they have the same thing in the East. There's also the International Fair Association that supposedly has fairs from all over the world. Now these regional fair association, at their conventions, they have evening banquets, and they have a showcase opportunity. And what a showcase is you submit the video you have of what you do and information about it, and they choose just a few acts. They can come in and put on a 15-minute or 10-minute or 20-minute show, an abbreviated version of your show. And you put in for those things, and if you can do them, you get up there and give it your best shot. If that goes good, you could, you might fill your whole summer with just results from that showcase. But whether you get a showcase or not, you need to do their trade show. But what you do at the trade show is you display yourself and your costume and your personality. The fair buyers, there's times they're supposed to come to the trade show. They come walk past, you smile and say hello to everybody, and hope that either you or your stuff will catch their eye and they'll stop and talk. Maybe they heard about you someplace. They want to talk to that Wild West person. So they'll come in. If you're a beautiful woman performer, I think that's a leg up. If you're a guy, you're just one of a 1,000 guys. But if you got a nice costume and you're welcoming and you have some nice stuff in your booth, then they might stop. You might book a show. If you do one of these things for your first time, you don't book anything, don't feel bad about that. People don't book stuff the first time. You might, if you get a showcase, you might book stuff the first time. And a lot of times I go to the trade shows and I have a booth and I don't book anything right there. But what the trade shows really did for me, it helped me meet a few promoters that I've worked for through the years. You know, one guy who puts on, you know, 5 big events all by himself, and I got in with that fellow, and I've worked for him for many years. I've done lots of fairs through the showcases I performed. I snuck my horse into a couple of them, put my horse inside a hotel, in the banquet, on the stage, and when that horse hits a home run, then he hits a home run for the show. But you need materials for a trade show booth. And you want to be there looking good in your costume. It's a chance for you to display the videos and pictures we've been talking about. People do all kinds of stuff with these things, and my booth is unique. I don't know if it's any better. In some ways it's not as good, it's not as high tech as some of the booths are. But the best things I've gotten from being at the trade shows, I'm at the trade shows and these booking agents come and notice you. And after a few years they notice you. And I've had some of the biggest agents come and be interested in me just because I'm there every year. And because at the fairs I do, you know, they talk to all the fairs, they're big buddies with all these guys. And if you do a fair and you did a good job and you're friendly with everybody, you're easy to work with, it gets passed on to these agents. And I've had mostly really good experience with the agents I've stuck with. It's been really good, and especially with Variety Attractions. Variety Attractions books our summer now. In the springtime, you know, I go to the Texas convention for that, and the International Fair and Association trade show. I'm apt to get the springtime work in the South from either of those two things. You know, I met those guys because I was at the trade show. It's been a very nice relationship. Here's a picture of our trade show booth. You know, I had a photograph of me and my horse blown up. It's 8 foot by 8 foot square vinyl banner, really. I hang that on the back. Me and my horse Lucky Joe. This is my wife Yvonne. She's always nice to have at the trade show. She looks great. Here is a standing banner, and actually they call it a scrolling banner. This has 6 panels. These are 6 pictures that I thought were good, and this thing rolls continuously. It just rolls really slow, so people walk by and see this movement. And I ordered a table runner with pictures of our logo. We came up with a logo, and that's a bed sheet there. That red thing looks like a fancy tablecloth. It's really a bed sheet, but you need a fairly good-sized flat screen TV that can show your video on. And that's up in the air because I went to a machinist here that works on tractors, and he's a welder, and I says, can you build me a stand for this TV? He says, you bet. So I got this, you can't even see it there because it's black, but it gets that TV up high so people can see it. And really the booth is built around that video. The video is the most important thing. People walk by and see whatever's on there, and hopefully it catches their eye. Everything kind of complements that video. I don't know of another act that does this. This may be old school and out of date, but it's kind of how I started doing it. I hired a advertising agency, and they came up with this idea. You could probably do the same yourself on the internet now. But we came up with a logo for the show. The background isn't much, but it's important to me. This is the homestead area where my great-grandfather came and covered wagon, homesteaded in Idaho. Alongside here is a bunch of thumbnail photographs from different parts of the show that I like. The back of it is the logo again. It has our information on it, phone number, website, email. I decided, you know, some people do like postcards, or they do a cardstock printing that is just this much front and back with all their information and maybe a picture on it. I decided to go with trifold, and then instead of a bunch of words for the trifold, I decided to go with pictures with little captions. If you have a whole bunch of words, no one reads it anymore. So I decided instead of describing stuff, I would do it in picture. So these are things that are important to me. Who knows if they're important to anything else? We went with this trifold. And on the back is our logo with me in the center of the logo, a list of the World Championships. I told you in the show I don't spend time talking about World Championships and awards, but I'll spend time spelling it out for the fair buyers. Now, I don't know if any of this stuff works. I don't know if this is a good design. I'm just telling you what I do. So my folder here consists of a business card, a couple of these tri-fold things, a separate sheet that gives the YouTube address of our promo video. I put this in just to describe our tent, and then an information sheet. This tells a little bit about me and my wife, where we live, talks about the skills in the show, talks about the World Championships I've won. You know, it puts down TV appearances and selected appearances. The appearances I selected were state fairs, any title of fair that had the word state in it, because people think state fairs are more important than county fairs. And I also included fairs that I worked a long time. You know, if you work a fair for 6 years, that means someone hired you back 6 years in a row. That's unusual. I like to put that on there, even if it's not a really big fair. This is also things you would mail out to the fairs. Your video, I always made mine about 8 minutes long, and that's too long. No one watches to the end. So if I say something good for the end, it didn't get watched. But they say, you know, 4 to 5 minutes, you know, everybody decides with the first 2 minutes, maybe the first 30 seconds, whether they're interested in it. So it doesn't have to be long. Shorter is better. Put whatever music you want behind it. Put your voice behind it. Don't worry if there's copyright claims on it. You know, who cares? You know, if you post this to advertise your show, you know, you're not making the video on YouTube to make money. So you don't care if there's a copyright claim or not. You know, if someone really doesn't like it, they'll contact you personally and say, take that off, and then you can take it off. But until they did that, I just put whatever music you want on there. At these trade shows, there's the showcases, and then there's the trade show booths, and then there's the after-hour stuff. You know, if you pay attention, you read people's badges as they go past. Most times you can identify who's with what fair, take notes on who passes, who stops to say hello, and you go down to the meetings. I don't go to the meetings either, but I should. You know, they have fair meetings, fair related issues. You go to those things. I'd go in your costume and speak out once in a while, have an opinion, and say hello to people. Go down to the bar, say hello to people, buy them a drink, and if you become friends with any of those folks, they're going to look on your show with a more favorable light. Some guys never even get a booth. They go to the trade show, all they do is walk around. They walk around and spot the fair people they want to talk to. And they talk to them, they hand them their stuff. They're just walking around. There's lots of approaches to it. Those are tips on getting the gig. We'll have some more videos coming up. You might take a look at those videos on actually performing the show and how to handle yourself on the fairgrounds. But press like and subscribe and hit that little bell by the subscribe button. Anyway, thanks for coming. It was nice talking to you. I'll see you next time.